says here they're live from the Conservative conference in Manchester. I think they're just about alive, given that it's so early in the morning and they had a late night the night before.
Is the Conservative Party alive, both of you? I mean, it feels like that... The images yesterday, it looked like they need a bit of life pumped back into them.
Yeah. Actually, when I got here Saturday, Sunday, I thought it really does feel moribund, dead on its feet. However, the key is the bars. And the bar of the conference hotel last night was rammed.
That's where you do your research, is it, Andrew?
Well, I do very important research, Ed, as you know, and I thought it wasn't as rammed as previous years, but it was pretty rammed. So I think there's still life in the old party yet, for sure.
If it's alive, it's not kicking, though. I think it's become... There are fewer people here than there were last year because, of course, they had that thumping election defeat, but then they had the leadership contest last year. They've had a leader who hasn't performed particularly well over the past year. She decided at the end of last year there'd be no big policy announcements until 2027. She therefore gave Nigel Farage a vacuum to fill on the right, which he's done, and she's now had a U-turn, and they're spewing out policies here, but is anybody listening anymore?
It is the toughest job, isn't it, to be the leader of a political party after your party has come out of government for after 10 years or even 5 years. Think back to Michael Foot or to William Hague or to Ed Miliband, who all struggled in that position. We're speaking to Kemi Badenoch after 8:30. She's out today, the day before her main speech at the conference tomorrow. For Kemi Badenoch, are things getting better for her? Is this conference going to boost her morale and her party's morale? Or is she just dealing with that same incredibly difficult inheritance that those past leaders who didn't go on to be Prime Minister suffered from?
I mean, she took over after 14 years of Tory rule, quite a few of those years of Tory rule, and I speak as one who's tried to support this party, were hopeless. The Tories were hopeless in the last few years. Kept changing leader, from Boris to Liz Truss to Rishi Sunak. Disaster after political disaster. So she inherited a poisonous inheritance. The lowest number of MPs ever. They're now down to 119. The worst election defeat in ever. So she had a bad inheritance. I don't think she made it much better by disappearing from public view for a year. But I still don't sense in this Tory party, which has become addicted to toppling leaders, that there's any appetite to get rid of Kemi Badenoch. In fact, every Tory MP who's here, or Tory member I talk to, say, what would be the point of changing leader again? Yeah. We're just reminding the public that we just keep toppling leaders. We've got to stick with her, we've got to make it work, and I think that is the view I'm picking up here. They're going to try and make it work, and they're going to give her time. She's only had a year. And people make the point. There's lots of images of Margaret Thatcher behind me. When she became Tory leader in 1975, for the first couple of years, she was a bit of a joke figure. And look how that turned out.
I don't pick up any visceral hatred for Kemi Badenoch or contempt here, and I'm approaching it from a different political point of view.
Understatement of the year.
But I think there's disappointment and frustration. I think you pick that up, that she hasn't cut through, and they kind of like her but think she should have done a better job. And you can see they've conceded the right of British politics to Reform and Farage, who's making the running. He's keep dragging the Labour Party to the right as well, it's got to be said. And they make defiant speeches on the Hall, and they'll attack Labour mainly. It's interesting, they mainly attack Labour and a bit of Reform. But there's no real buzz or cutting edge or expectation that they're getting anywhere. An election is nearly 4 years away. I think I'd be surprised if she's still the leader come the general election, because it's expected Starmer will go long. He'll wait for the US presidential election in November 2028 to see who is the president before he goes to the country, because the general election in UK law could be as late as August 2029. I know you.
God,
you
the thought of all those years of Starmer.
You'll be in your care home by then. You won't know. Don't worry. You don't need to worry yourself.
How many more years of this terrible government? Are we saying how many more years of this terrible government?
Put away money for your care costs now. So we've fixed it.
Just one more question about Kemi Badenoch, because we are going to be talking to her later. What does she have going for her? If you think back to William Hague, he was actually really good in the House of Commons, didn't go on to win. Ed Miliband was very popular in the Labour Party, in the conference. They liked what he said, even if he wasn't managing to reach out into the country. At the moment, when you're talking to people in the bars and about her, what do people say is the thing she's got on her side, the thing which actually makes people feel better to be a Conservative, even if at the moment they're still behind in the polls?
They like her determination. They think she's determined. Others think that's arrogance, but she is pretty determined. She's no pushover. But you got to wonder about her authority over somebody like Robert Jenrick, who just seems to be a complete loose cannon and running his leadership campaign now. And he wants to steam some of her limelight. He's causing trouble over his racist views on what's happened, on Birmingham from his little 90-minute visit. That's all problems for her. She doesn't want to be dogged by somebody like him.
Well, I think people see her as she's feisty for sure. She's forceful. And she's clever. There's no doubt about it. She's a clever woman. And okay, again, unlike the Labour Party, the Tory party has another woman leader and a woman of colour, which makes her more interesting than Labour, which is still... how many years has your party been going, Kevin? 125? They still haven't managed to get round to electing a woman leader. Extraordinary.
125 years, I've always picked a white bloke. It is. I think they might be regretting it at the moment.
Let's talk about... You made a reference to it already, Kevin. This is the man tipped to replace Kemi Badenoch.
Tipped by him, anyway.
Yes, him and his supporters.
And his supporters.
You're right. I'm not sure how big a crowd that is, but we just saw
I don't think it would be a crowd, Susanna.
A poll on the screen saying that 50% of people want Kemi to quit. So if she did, or if she was toppled, could Robert Jenrick become leader? These comments he made back in March picked up, leaked, about a visit he did to a part of Birmingham, and he called it absolutely appalling, a slum, or the closest thing that he'd seen to a slum, and talked about the nature of the diversity there. Now, how do you think Kemi Badenoch will respond to that, Andrew?
A woman of colour. A black woman, the first black leader. I think the Tories had Rishi Sunak before, but the first black African heritage woman leader of any political party in Britain. I think she'll be concerned about it because the Tory party wants to look. The Tory party wants to be seen as a party for everybody, and Jenrick saying he's concerned to be somewhere with no white face for 90 minutes will not be received with great glee by the Tory leader. He goes on to clarify his remarks, doesn't he? He says, look, he wants to see more integration, but the remarks are clumsy at best.
Yeah, look, he says, didn't say another white.
Well, I was just going to say, integration is obviously a positive, but when you say, I didn't see another white face, and that's not the kind of country I want to live in, I mean, that is a risky phrase to be caught saying.
Yeah, I think that's a nice way of putting it, because I think what he said was racist, and the former Conservative mayor of the West Midlands, Andy Street, has said that's a very integrated part of Birmingham. Yes, it's very multicultural, and white faces are in a minority in that area, according to figures from the City Council, but there are white people there. When you say you don't see a white face, and then you later say, oh, but it's not about colour. Sorry, you've made it about colour. You've contradicted yourself. But he's now saying the quiet bits out loud, and that'll be very hurtful for her. But the response I've seen from her so far is just I can't micromanage. Now that is saying that's disapproval of what he said, but she doesn't want a public row with him, and that's a sign of her weakness. She should be able to denounce that and say, yes, we all want an integrated Britain. Of course we do.
Which we do.
But that part of Birmingham is integrated, according to the former Tory Mayor of the West Midlands, Andy Street, as I just said. But he's going around stirring it or playing into bigotry and prejudice and inciting people. That's what he's doing, and it'll be exploited by the far right and the hard right and other people. Now that's gonna hurt her. I don't think that's the Conservative Party she wants, because she's a Nigerian heritage, a British black woman. She'll face prejudice on her way up. She always plays it down, but you wouldn't expect it from your shadow justice secretary, a lieutenant in your shadow cabinet, but somebody who clearly, nakedly now wants her job.
It is interesting, though, isn't it? He was speaking. Look, it's clear to me anyway what he was doing there, the lean that he's making. As Andrew said, clumsy at best. This was in March. It was secretly recorded. It was the Aldridge Brown Hills Conservative Association dinner. So he was speaking to the members of the Conservative Party, and you might think they tended to be older and they are probably less diverse than the UK as a whole. On the other hand, they elected Kemi Badenoch last autumn. They chose Kemi Badenoch instead of Robert Jenrick. So even in his own terms, while he's trying to win the members over, is this a wise thing for him to do? I mean, he might be thinking it will be attractive to some people who want to vote for reform rather than Conservatives. But I wonder what the Conservative Party members think about Robert Jenrick doing that kind of lead in that kind of way.
I think I've talked to Tory party members a lot about Kemi Badenoch and say it was an interesting choice because Jenrick was the favourite to win, and they chose a woman of obvious colour. She is as Nigerian heritage. She was born in Britain. She spent a lot of time in Nigeria. She's very proud of her African heritage. And it was a distinctive choice by Tory party members. They had him or her. And they chose a black woman to lead the Conservative Party. A very radical choice, I thought, at the time, and courageous. Because I know for a fact that the private polling shows the Tories lost votes at the last election because there were people who wouldn't vote for the Tories because they were led by a man called Rishi Sunak, who had brown skin. There's no doubt that cost the Tories votes at the last election, and potentially it could cost the Tories votes because there is always going to be a small undercurrent of racism in every country and in every electorate. So it was a brave decision of the Tories to choose Badenoch, and that's why I think she'll be concerned by what Jenrick has said. But she's not going to get into a fight with him because there's only 119 of them. The last thing she wants is a big punch-up with a member of her shadow cabinet who's one of the more effective media performers. Yeah,
well, she's not strong enough to sack him, or discipline him. There might be a few words in private, but it shows you the weakness of her position and the predicament of the Conservative Party. It's been eclipsed. It's been the most successful electoral force in the UK for centuries. It's always been changing. It's always managed to win back power. You know, we've had 7 Labour prime ministers in history. There were 7 Conservatives in the last 35 years. You know, they've been the party in power for most of our lives, most of our parents' lives, our grandparents' lives. But they've lost their way now.
I want to ask about some other things. Let's move away from the Conservative Party conference. Just to remind you, we're going to speak to Kemi Badenoch herself just before 8:30 this morning. But what was your reaction, both of you, when you heard that first-year doctors in England voted yesterday in favour of strike action? Now, I can imagine a lot of people think, not again. We do not need another doctors' strike, and obviously that will lead to delays and lengthening waiting lists. But I wonder when people find out about the reason that they have gone on strike, they might think again, because this is not about pay. This is about 34% of resident doctors said they had no substantive employment or regular work from August 2025. Now, how have we got to a situation where we are training up doctors, investing a huge amount in them? We have an NHS in crisis, as anyone who uses the NHS knows. It is hard to get a GP appointment, and we can't give trained doctors jobs.
Yeah, just leaving aside for the moment, if you haven't got a job, you go on strike. It's not going to have any impact because you're not working. But now there's a mismatch between the number coming out of university, and they've studied a long time. They'll have spent a lot of money on fees. They'll have high hopes, and then they're finding out the jobs aren't there for them. And I absolutely sympathise with them, while at the same time having that reaction of, oh no, not again. You can have both responses. Actually, the government has said that it's going to prioritise UK candidates now over those from abroad to create more posts. But yeah, I can see if you can't get a job when you've spent 5 years at university studying medicine, it must be so disparate.
This government boasts about the billions extra pounds it's pumping into the NHS. It's pumping all this extra money into it, and yet it can't find jobs for these highly qualified, highly trained young doctors. It's astonishing. It's a staggering failure, again, of the NHS, because we need more doctors. There are not enough doctors, so why aren't they in work? I just don't understand.
Well, one of the reasons,
it's extraordinary.
One of the reasons there's been an expansion of medical school places, has been an expansion of medical schools itself. So more are coming out. Now, some go abroad, some decide not to do medicine after 5 years of studying. Others begin jobs as doctors and then they drop out. So you want a pool of people who can do it, but it will mean, unfortunately, some people won't have a job all of the time.
Yeah, and we've got a mental health crisis, as we all know, and people are not able to work. Yet, apparently, according to the BMA, more than 10,000 doctors applied this year to become psychiatrists. Less than 500 were able to get a place. And I'm sure many viewers who have tried to get mental health treatment have been told, you know, there is a huge, long waiting list for help, particularly in young people and children. How are we not employing the people, you know, who want to do the jobs? It seems just utterly shocking. Right, I wonder if we can...
Where is all this extra money going?
That figure is 1 in 20.
But where is all the... What are they doing with all this extra money? Well, what are they doing with it?
Well, have you seen waiting lists are coming down?
Come off it. Kevin, the waiters would come down a lot quicker if they employed these people as doctors and psychiatrists.
They would. You'd have to...
They'd come down a lot quicker. It's hopeless.
Yeah,
it's hopeless.
You can rant, but you'd have to spend more money.
It's ridiculous.
You'd have to spend more money to do them. And anyone who's come across mental health services will know they're on their knees, and the people working in them are just overwhelmed by the people desperate.
And there's all the medics ready to do the job, and they can't get a job. Ridiculous.